Hello everyone, I am that 3D guy and it's been a very long time since I had made my last video and that was on Alias. I think I had tried to start with something and then there were a lot of shiftings and stuff that happened. But here I am and now I am a bit more, I'll try to be a bit more consistent, and I also have a new mic, so obviously we have the entire setup ready. And now what I've tried to do is I also went through a lot of comments, a lot of emails, and people have mentioned that they would like to learn a bit more about Alias and a bit more about a complete automotive project that would really help them in their own projects. So I thought, why not start with a Blender course, and after that maybe having a complete layout of the like an automotive layout in Blender, we can take that in Alias and start resurfacing on that. So that is also something that I'm currently working on. Before that, I thought, why not have a quick session just to get everything started with. Why not have a George U form so that we get acclimatized to the Alias interface and how everything's working now. Everything's working now. So yeah, I think let's have a quick session. This will also be something which will really help you in the automotive workflow that you'll be working on. So yeah, stay tuned. Let's see what's up. And yeah, I'll switch my screen. So yes, today we are gonna have a look at this form, and at first it might look a bit complex because there are some fading curves, right? As you can see, this entire curve that is just going all the way here and then it just fades. This curve which is just beneath that is basically again flushing over here, right? The shape is not, it's not very complex, honestly. This is just a flat surface. This is also something which is quite similar to that, and yeah, it should be fairly simple. But I think let's try to take a look. We should try to finish it in maybe around 30 minutes. I think 30 minutes is a good time to have a generic maybe the base model ready. Let's see if we are able to achieve it, maybe plus minus 5 minutes. So hopefully with that, let's try to analyze the patch layout first. So I'll just go in the edit and let's try to mark it up, right? And if I have a look, I'll just start a markup. So what I would try to do is I try to create maybe what I try to create is maybe a curve here, right? I'll just reset it again and add a curve here, a curve here, and something like this and this. So this will be something that will be the base curve. Similar to that over here, something like this. This would flush a little inside, which will be a bit slant, again a curve here, and that will just end here somewhere. So we have a cutout like this and something like this, something like this. This would flush again. So let's see if we are able to achieve this. There will obviously be a fillet here, maybe somewhat like this. We would have something that goes all the way, or maybe just cuts here. That is something that we would have to try to figure out. And these will be smaller fillets that we can later work on, right? So these will be some smaller fillets that we can later work on. So as I mentioned, roughly 30 minutes if we have all the curves and everything correct. We just need to lay the surfaces and hopefully everything should be correct. I'll be going through each and everything. Don't worry how we'll be like starting with the curves and how we'll be able to achieve it. Everything we'll be able to do yeah, fairly like straightforward, but I'll also make it very detailed so that you don't have to struggle with what tools I'm using and maybe other things that you already know. In Alias, a lot of things are very difficult to follow. We'll make sure that it's fairly simple, right? Perfect. Before I start, just wanted to show you how things are working. So let's see, and if I have something like this, you can already see that I had it built. I'm not going to share the show you the patch layout first, because that is something that we'll be figuring out and that will be an exercise for us. But I just wanted to show you how it actually looks, right? So yeah, if I'm going to make it transparent, it is exactly following each and every curve. Even the shadows, as you can see, it's following that as well. And if I go to maybe the visualization section and maybe shaded, not this one, maybe hardware shade, as you can see, we have a very good looking surface over here. and if I just move it around, I'll have a really good surface, right? So this is what we want to achieve. We'll be doing everything from scratch, so let's let's try to achieve this. Perfect. What I'll do is I'll just close this instance. I don't want to save it. I'll start from scratch, right? So let's do that. Yeah, I'll start my alias. Perfect. All right, and let's open it all the way, and yeah, perfect. We don't need these additional tool sets. Blend curves maybe later. Let's toggle the grid. We have the grid. Let's go in the left hand side view, and let's import the sketch. So we have the reference here, and let's drag and drop it here. Perfect. And let's scale it a little. Honestly, I don't care about the scale. My main intention is basically understanding how the surfaces and everything works, right? I don't care about I would say the continuity tolerances and stuff like that. It's just about analyzing the surfaces and building them. So if I just make a new and assign it and just reference it, so select set state and reference. Perfect. Now I'll just go on my perfect. So over here we have a very small box, as you can see, and this is basically like a key presser. Whatever I'm going to press is going to show you, so that will be very easy for you to follow. If you have any questions, obviously you can mention them in the comments, but simply it should be fairly simple for you to follow, right? Perfect. Now this is a layer. Let's name it as a blueprint or a sketch. Perfect. And we have the blueprint here. Let's have a new layer which will be curves, and let's have another layer which will be the surfaces. Perfect. So let's go in the curve layer and let's start building. What I'll do is I'll start with a fairly simple curve, which is a 2-degree curve. Let's see if we are able to bend it, right? So something like this, and I think I would require one more CV. What I'll do is I'll just add one more, so something like this, and maybe something like this. I can also extend and use the stretch tool to basically have it aligned like this, and maybe have these here. Perfect, looks okay. Let's move on and let's add another one, something like this. This should be okay with 2 curves, fairly simple. Just have 2 curves here. Then over here let's have another one. Here we'll have a little bit of crowning, or could I make the entire one in one piece? Let's try that. Let's see if we can do that. So I'll have a 2-degree curve all the way till this, and should be okay. I don't want to have a lot of curves. Maybe if I'm able to adjust with the lesser curves, that should be okay. One thing to keep in mind is less in any software, a 3D modeling software, I would say less is better, right? That is one thing that we have all seen, is having less is always better. yeah, something like this. As you can already see that I'm also trying to maintain the CV space, so I'm not trying to exaggerate it. You can have it exaggerated, that is also perfectly fine. If I want, I can obviously have this a bit exaggerated and have it in a ratio of 1:2, 2:3. I can also have it in the ratio of 1:1:1. That's perfectly fine. Depends on what I'm modeling. If I want to have that aggressiveness, I'll have a ratio of 1:2 or 1:2:3. If I want to have that subtleness as a product, I can have it 1:1:1, right? So that is what I mean. So basically what I mean here is the space between the CVs are in the same ratio. I want to keep it that way if I'm modeling a product. If I want to model a if I want to model a car, or if I want to model something a bit more automotive and a bit more aggressive looking, like a plane maybe, I could have something which could have a ratio of 1:2:3. So what I mean by that is having something a bit more aggressive, like 1:2:3, and obviously the shape does not match, but it could look a bit more aggressive. And what I mean by that is also if I turn on the curvature comb, let me have a look where the curvature comb is. A lot of tools here, so okay. Yeah, curvature comb, and as you can see we have this aggressiveness here, right? Earlier when I was modeling, we had this. If I have the other curve, which is basically starting from here to here, and the CV is somewhere like this, maybe, right, and pushing it like this and like this, right? And if I turn on for this one, not this one, I think, yeah, so something like this. If I have this one is a bit more, I would say this is also a bit exaggerated, but not as much as this one. Like it's very minute. As you can see, the form itself is something that requires us to have a CV of maybe something which looks a bit more exaggerated as the shape demands. But if we would have wanted, we could have obviously kept it in a ratio of 1:2:3, where over here if we have something a bit more simple, like if we would have something like this and maybe something like this, then this is a bit more, I would say, toned down and not as aggressive as would have required, right? So yeah, this is something that we need to keep in mind. Right now I'm just focusing on it as a product, and that is something that we are going to target, so let's keep it that way, right? So something like this, Alt 3, and over here, perfect. I'm also going to use the extend tool a little, so we can have something extended here, and let's have another curve which goes from here to here, and bit of curvature here. Let's stretch it. Now why I'm using the stretch tool here, a lot of people might wonder, okay, what is the point in using these many tools? One thing that the stretch tool does that is better than the other, like just manually dragging it, is that it maintains the proportions, right? If I want to move it all the way here, it will always be in a proper proportion, right? Whereas if I would have just dragged it, you see the CV over here remains at the same position, locked, whereas when I stretch it, it's going to stretch this CV as well. So if you see over here, it is maintaining that proportion, which is going to be very helpful for us if we are making some minor tweaks where we don't want basically the flow and the design of this to change a lot. That is perfectly fine. Now we are at the center, and let's see if we can just move this a little over here, and perfect. Now, as I had mentioned, I think in this image we want this entire inner curve as well, so we can do that. I could do it in two ways. I could just reconstruct it, or I could offset it and maybe change it again, up to how you want to model it. Let's try any of these. Maybe I'll just rebuild this. It's something that is fairly simple, so I'll just use this curve here, right, and I'll just stretch it maybe somewhat like this. I want it to start here, maybe this one as well. Maybe what I can also do is I can maybe make it a bit more, yeah, this is something a bit more pleasing, right? Okay, and perfect. Something like this. Perfect. So this looks fairly okay, I would say, right? The same here. Little bit of crowning would still be required, even though I know that a lot of you might feel that it is straight. It's not. Yeah, so a little bit of crowning is still better. We need to have that effect where it feels that there is a little bit of yeah, curvature in there, right? And something like this. This curve here. Let's stretch this one. And do we need 3? No, I think 2 should be okay. Still okay. Okay. Yeah, perfect. All right, I think this should be okay. Let's go in the display. I think I need to have a draw style. Yeah, I'll maybe make the line width a bit. Yeah. This should be okay. Yeah, I think this should make it a bit better for you guys. All right. Yeah. So as you can already see, we have the curves laid out. Now what I would like to also do is I'd like to maybe move this a bit here, right? Something like this. And maybe move this like this, something like this, right? So we have this curve, basically the outer curve, and this is the inner curve. Now one last thing would be to have this one, which is something you might feel a bit complex, but this actually goes in. So I can actually move it like this. Perfect. And can have it all the way here, and I can rotate it so that it goes in like this, right? Something like this. This is actually rotating in the, I would say, the x-axis inside, right? The pivot is obviously the x-axis, but it is rotating inwards, right? So that is something that is something that we are doing, something like this. And then we have this one. One thing that I've also learned is that it is very important that we have, I would say, yeah, it's very important that we have the curves and everything laid up first, so that whenever like we are building our surfaces, it's a bit easier for us. Now the next thing what we can do is, yeah, we'll just save our file first, save as, and let's keep it as stage_2. Obviously you can name it whatever is preferable for you, and we'll start cutting these lines. So I'll use the curve cutting tool over here. Basically if you go in the palette, you will find it somewhere, maybe curve edit, I think. Yeah, I have my own palette over here, which makes it easier. But if I have the curve edit tool, and is it this one? Yeah, this is the curve section option, right? Okay, so this is the one, and I'll just use trim and sectioning criteria as geometry. So I'll select this one first and space bar and cut. This one, cut. Right? Why I'm doing this, I'll also explain it to you. That way it will be easier. Now this tool is very helpful because obviously it maintains the same ratio again. As I mentioned, it will basically extend it back, extend the curve back, which is a bit which makes it easier for us, right? So that is why I'm using this tool. So Alias is, I would say, 50% tool usage and 50% understanding how the patches work. They go hand in hand. Like if you know how the patches work but you don't know how to build those surfaces, then that's a problem as well, right? So I have this, maybe a little bit of curvature here, not much, just a tiny bit, and the same here. Let's do it here, a tiny bit here, something like this. Perfect. And now, yeah, this is where I would say I would not use square. Earlier in a lot of my videos I mentioned that I use square, but now what I've started doing is I started using bi-rail a lot, because I think that is one of the best tools that I've like started using. And I didn't use it that much, but I feel that everyone should use it for building their quad surfaces, right? Or even if you want to have a monorail surface, that's one of the best tools, I would say. So I'll use rail, and inside it I'd use 2 generation curves and 2 rail curves, right? So these would be my generation curves and these would be my rail curves, and let's see, the surface looks pretty okay, I would say. Looks nice. Maybe I would have wanted the CV to be a bit adjusted, I don't know. Yeah, looks okay. I think I might change it if I feel like it, but for now I think it's okay. Yeah, why I'm using bi-rail instead of square. Now what square would have done is obviously given us something similar, but when the complexity changes, yeah, it basically, I would say, it flattens it out a bit more. I feel like it does not give us the continuity that we need between the two CVs, right? This is still okay. Here you would not see much of a difference, but when there are a bit more, when there's a bit more complexity involved, I'd say it bi-rail does a better job. Over here you can already see it is starting to flatten that much, and you'd have to play with the blend type and yeah, whatnot, as you can already see. Yeah, I can have a little bit of more control here, but I don't want that. I would rather have something which is a bit cleaner right from the start. So I'd have 2 generation curves and 2 rail curves, something like this. And over here, yeah, it's quite good. Perfect. I'll do the same with the others. So yeah, I forgot to add a curve here. and a little bit of curvature. So something like this maybe. Yeah, looks good. And yeah, over here what I tried to do is I'd maybe extend this a bit behind, and because I know that this line is going to diminish, what I can also do is I can add a curve here between these 2 points, right, over here somewhere, and maybe push it a little inside. So I have something like this, maybe in a ratio of, again, as I mentioned, 1:2. I want this a bit accelerated, so why not have something like this, and now let's hide all these so we can actually see, or maybe only show these curves, and now we can actually stretch it till the curve, something like this. Let's see if we are able to match it somewhat. I would say still not the best, maybe somewhat like this, and maybe shift it a little up like this. This should be okay, I think. Not an issue here, looks okay. Okay, I think this should work. Let's go here and maybe have a little bit of, again, some crowning like this, and again a rail from these points. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Perfect. Same here, 1, 2, 3 and 4. I think we do not have, yeah, so we didn't have this attached correctly, so that is why it is giving us an issue here. It's good that, again, as I mentioned, that we are all doing something and learning alongside, so that's a really good thing. So let's again rail it. Now you would obviously come across these issues, and this is where you need to keep in mind that your surfaces need to be clean, and right from the start you need to have a plan, right? Yeah, all right. Now what I see here is there is a small issue that we are facing, right? We are having this weird, I don't know, reflection break. Maybe can we try to fix it using this CV? Let's see. Is it making it worse, or yeah, this seems to be better. Or maybe can I just pull it out normally? Something like this could have worked, but yeah, let's see. I think maybe once the fillet comes in it would be a bit better. This also works somewhat. I'll try to see if there's a fillet that comes up and hides this, but for now this looks okay. These ones are fairly okay, fairly good looking. This is the one that is actually bothering me, but maybe a big fillet comes in and wraps it all the way, so let's wait for that. All right, let's add another by rail and 1, 2, 3 and 4. Yes. And what I can also do is yeah, for now I think this should be okay. Yeah, I'm anyways gonna have a big fillet here, so this should be I think this should be okay. All right, now one thing I can also do is I would rather want this to go all the way till here, because I'd want to have a huge fillet that basically gives me 1, 2, 3 and 4 surfaces here, right? So let's try to do that. I'm just trying to figure out how we can build this. So let's see, surfaces, and have a curve stretching all the way till here. Right now obviously we'll have to move this as well. This goes all the way up, right, and maybe somewhat like this. So yeah, this should be okay. I think this again makes it look aggressive but not that bad. Now since we have moved this, obviously we need to move this one a little like this, and since we have moved this, now we got to move this as well. So yeah, looks okay now, much better. And let's add a square. So surface, or not a square but a bi-rail again. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, it's still giving me an error that, okay, so this was not adjusted. Let's do that. Yeah, something like this. And as you can see that we already have a really beautiful looking shape here, right? This is something, again, as I mentioned, is a bit bothering. If I can actually fix it. Yeah, let's see. One good thing about keeping the history is also that you get to experiment a lot, right? So that is something that you'll be able to do a lot. Yeah, maybe something like this. All right, let's keep it like this for now. I'm just moving it such that we don't change the shape a lot, but we also get that feel, right? So I would not want to maybe make a lot of changes because the curve in itself looks okay. All right, now we have this, and this seems like a flat surface, so let's just close this one. What I can do is I can just use my curve and draft it all the way down, right, without any crown. Or maybe not. Just a moment, let's see. Can I again rail it, maybe mono rail it? Yep, this looks okay now. Yeah, perfect. See, as I mentioned, there are a lot of places where you might feel that, okay, how am I going to achieve this? And this is actually a flat surface, so I'm amazed how this didn't work. The draft should have worked. Is there a yeah, there's a draft angle. Yeah, now as you can see, oh, that's perfectly fine, and we just project it. Project this curve, normal, and trim it. So we have something like this. As you can see, we already have the basic shape now. It's just about filleting it, and that's where I would say a lot of people mess up. So this is something that we'll be working on now. Let's make the simple ones first. What I would also do is there are two options. I can either extrude it back, which is good because obviously I'll have the originality of the surfaces. But one thing is also that again I'd lose the history, which I don't want. There are actually 2 to 3 ways of actually handling this. So one thing is, again, if I use insert, which is basically using the isopalms of the surface to trim it, which makes it quite clean. That is something that I can do. I can manually fillet it. I can have I can manually fillet it, or I could use the fillet tool as well. So let's use surface fillet tool, and that is also going to give me something really interesting. So if I have edge align and edge align, something like this, maybe 250. Yeah, this works. And the CV count, I don't need these many. Oh, I would require that many. Okay. Anyways, I'll just keep the chordal length 250. And yeah, this should be fairly okay. Again, at any point I want to maybe move these surfaces, I'm free to do so, because again I have I have the entire history on, so I can actually make the changes in the curve and how they look, right? So that is one of the things why history is so important. Again, over here, let's have one more. 250 isn't enough, let's keep it to 350 or maybe 500 or even more, I think, right? Let's keep it to 750. Now as you can see, we already are past, so let's keep it to 600 again. Yeah, I don't like the quality of this. Let's do one thing, let's try to manually build it. So over here I have the surface tool and I have the insert here, so I can actually insert it where I want the fillet to end here, and the same like this, so something like this, right? And now when I trim it, I'll trim this one and I'll have a freeform blend, and yeah, as you can see, it's much better. Obviously I don't need these many CVs, maybe something, yeah. And as you can see, with just 4 CVs we are able to have something really good. Yeah, looks okay. In fact, I would say this blend that we were trying to create is okay, it's nice. Yeah, looks interesting, I would say. You can already see that this is actually trying to have that feel of having a G2 continuity, right? So that is something that we are actually aiming for here, but not at the moment. Maybe it might take us some more time to like get it cleared. Till then, maybe we can just fillet this one as well, right? So let's do that. So can we use normal fillet here? Not much, maybe 320 or 350. Yes, something like this should work. Again, not exactly on top of the sketch, but works, I think. Still better than what you would have had. Or if we want, again, as I mentioned, we can use our insert tool, surface and insert, to have even cleaner surfaces, right? Something like this, and over here something like this, and then trim it, and freeform blend again, and here we have it, much better, cleaner, and a bit more, I would say, predictable. So something like this. The same here, let's see. Now this one was one of those blends which I mentioned I was not very happy with. So let's see if we are able to maybe make it a bit more, I would say, interesting, and get rid of those stubborn surfaces, right? Over here, something like this, and trim, and trim, and let's make a freeform blend. Looks okay. I think this needed a little bit of curvature, so let's undo this. Let's untrim this, and this one should be okay. What we would want is maybe move this, or not move this, but let's build one once more. So insert, something like this, trim, yeah. I think what we need to also do is maybe we might have to move this a little up, so that we have that feeling of curvature, right? Yeah, and while we do that, did we mess something up? Yeah, this one. I'll just have these curves so that I can actually see which one of them are not connected properly. Let's try to also see. Yeah, this one isn't connected. Okay. Yeah, over here, as you can see, we don't have this connection, or do we? Yeah, somewhere over here. So let's fix this one, then we fix this one as well. Anything else? No, I think this should be okay. Yep. Yes. And this is a bit better, but I would want it to have a shape like this. Yeah, I think seems okay. Should I have moved this one a little up? I don't know. Yeah, something like this. Yeah, again, as I mentioned, having this is like a really helpful thing to do, because again, yeah, and this makes it look a bit better, because again it's following the shape and all the blends and everything, right? Perfect. So we can also start trimming these. So having these trimmed out, we'll use normal because we want these edges to project themselves normally. So let's do that. Same over here. Let's trim, right? And project again, normal, trim. This one as well, project, normal, and trim. Now this is a complex part, I would say, but we can again maybe add a curve here and trim it. So let's try to do that. Insert a curve here, or maybe have insert something like this, right? And maybe have this curve duplicated, have the pivot here and move it here, and maybe extend it all the way down so that we get a similar shape. With projecting the curve. So view, and the same here, view and trim. Perfect. Now one thing that I was also thinking is how we can actually have this adjusted, because we want this entire thing to blend together. Let's see. So is there a way we can do that? And we want this blueprint as well. Control H. Let's see how we can actually adjust this. So one thing that I can actually do is I can maybe create a curve here all the way till this, and maybe something like this just for now, and maybe project it like this. Let's see if I can have a G2 curve or maybe a blend. So curve construction, maybe having a blend. So blend curve, and this one and this one. How does it look? Seems okay. Blends well. The same tool here and the same tool here, and let's see if we can have a G2 continuity here. So let's use rail and see if we can have a G2 continuity here. So 2, I don't know what happened. Did it work? No. Okay, let's try that again. Yes, and again I need to have the explicit control on with maybe 5 by 5, and as you can already see, we are getting a really good layout. Let's see if we can have generation 1 as G2, perfect, and generation 2 as G2 as well. And this is failing. I need to know why. What is the issue here? Is it a very small? Okay, it's a small curvature deviation. Let's see if we can fix it by maybe adding another CV, and that should be okay. Yeah, that should be perfectly fine. Yes, and let's do it over here as well. So let's have a rail 1, 2, 3 and 4, and gen 1 needs to be G2 and gen 2 needs to be G2. Looks okay. Let's see if we can try to maybe, okay, this looks much better. As you can see, I'm trying to play around with the CVs. If I don't need a lot of CVs, I just like reduce it. And as you can see, I would have rather wanted like 2 by 2 5 CVs in between, right, like 5 rows, but here it is working perfectly fine. I'm getting G2 on both the ends, which is surprising, so I'd keep it this way, right. This is still giving me a positional error, which is 0.04. I think this should be perfectly fine. I'm not much worried about this. Can I actually maybe make this 4? Yeah, it's giving me a positional failed error. Is it a big of a deal? Let's see. The reflections are looking okay. If I'm able to manage the blend, I think it should be okay. Let's see. Yeah, it's not much, honestly. This one as well, not much. So we have this and looks pretty good to me. I think the reflections are flowing really well. This could have been a bit better, I feel. Again, maybe because what I'll do is I'll just create a template here and maybe I have a, let's try this with square. Why not? Let's see if it gives us a better result. With G2, 2 with G2 as well. Yep. Yeah, I am happy with this one instead. Yes. So again, sometimes square works really well, whereas sometimes you can just go back to rail and that should work as well. Perfect. Now let's see if we can add a fillet here, because I don't want this edge to be so prominent. Have a one thing that I can actually do is I can have a small fillet here, right, and maybe a very small fillet. Let's see. And I don't want this to be edge aligned. I want it to be default. The same here, default. And let's see. I want to see how much it blends. So if I hide all the surfaces, assign, hide it, and maybe enable the blueprint. Want to see the, yeah, so yeah, it's pretty sharp. I think this should be okay. So let's keep it this much, and from here let's try to blend it even more. So let's try to blend it now. Looks quite smooth, I would say. Will we be able to connect it? Perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to detach this over here like this, and let's see if we can project normal, align, and project normal. So G2 and project normal like this, and same over here. like this. Oh yeah, we just need to adjust the G2 continuity. Perfect. And now what we are going to do is just going to use this entire thing and fillet it. So what I'm trying to do here is we are basically trying to retain the curvature of the paths, and if you see, we tried to manually build this curve here, right? Because what happens is when I was trying to extrude it all the way, it wasn't looking that good. So I wanted to maybe build a curve here all the way like this, and maybe have something like this. So if you see, I built a curve and I tried to place it as good as well as I could, and I tried to maybe extrude it like back and try to blend it with this one. So this is a bit of a hack that might be required when you're working in Alias, right? Because you need a really good patch layout and you want to have those really good looking surfaces. You need to have some workaround that you might have to do. Looking at the reflections also, if you see, these reflections look really pretty, like how this thing this entire thing flows, and yeah, looks quite interesting. So obviously we would want something like this. Alright, so now I'm quite happy with the surfaces. I've also deleted the history because the next step that I'm going to do is something a bit interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to extrude this all the way here till we are at the center like this, and yes, and I'm going to build it in 5/2 degrees, right? I'm also making moving it to the center, and now what I'm also going to do is I'm basically going to move the pivot so that I make it feel like it's a sketch, right? Something like this, and maybe non-proportionally scale it a little at the top, right? Something like this. So we get the illusion of yes, perfect. And now let's fillet it. Yeah, not the best, so let's do one thing, let's do it part by part. I think that should make it work a bit better. Yes, looks okay. And maybe now these are a bit simpler, so we can, I think, take all of them at once. Perfect. Do we need to have lesser CVs? So we'll add maybe lesser patches, so maybe a bit more of CVs, not like this, maybe like this. and maybe have them connect ends or something. Yeah, not that good, but let's keep it to default. Or even better, one thing that we can also do is we can, yeah, so now what we are going to do is we are going to select this and start filleting them as well. The main reason why I'm doing it in parts is because I don't want to have like unusual surfaces or something like that, and this is giving me really good result for now. So yeah, I think this should be okay. Interior connect, yes, perfect. And assign and symmetry. Yeah, because we pulled the two CVs over here, we were actually able to maintain the symmetry across the plane, right? That is one of the main reasons why I'm editing using the two CVs, because that is where the symmetry is, right? So all these concepts are very important when you model, and as you can already see that this has come out really well, and I'm really glad with the result that we were able to achieve here. Even the blend that we have here is really interesting. The next step could also be assigning a material, so let's do that. So I select everything, I select a material, maybe surface, and maybe from a visualization apply shaders, or maybe shader library, and we have a material over here. We just drag and drop it in the surfaces. If we go to visualization, and hardware shade, we have everything here. It looks really good, and it's almost as if yeah, it's as good as the sketch, I would say. It's even better than the previous one in terms of the layout and everything. It's very clean. If you also toggle the CVs, as you can see, we do not have a lot of like populating CVs and stuff like that. It's only the ones that we require. Really an interesting shape. All right. So yes, I hope you liked the video, and really glad how it turned up. Share your comments, and I'll be editing some of it because I feel that there were some parts which I was actually working on a lot, maybe moving some CVs which would have gotten repeated, but obviously this is not more than 30 minutes of work because we were still able to do a lot of things and learn a lot of things today. The next session again, maybe we'll take up some forms. If you have any questions regarding this, or if you have any other projects that you want to ping me, you can just tag me, or you can just mail me at that3dguy23@gmail.com, and yeah, I'll be able to support you with any of the projects that you want me to help you on. All right guys, that is it, and see you in the next session. It will be uploaded really soon, something similar. I'm also working on the car model, as I've mentioned, and that will be up as well, maybe in some time. So yeah, see you, bye bye.